Hi there. I'm Carrie Ellis, author of 21st Century Superhuman. This is our 21st Century Superhuman show. Today, I have with me my beautiful friend, Libby, from Nova Scotia, Canada. Hi, Libby.
Hi, sister. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yes, and you are one of the miraculous, beautiful, adventurous souls who are experimenting with a lot of the nuances of creating the various forms of the Keshe technology. And so the plasma technology, and I know you've been in the knowledge seekers programs, and we'll visit a little bit about that. I'd like to hear uh, what you've been doing. Um, just to introduce what we're talking about, Mr. Keshe has been bringing forward, he is a nuclear physicist, and he's been bringing forward this new plasma energy, which is really carrying us into a new science of understanding how our world operates, how we can power systems, how we can produce healing, and so many exciting, wonderful things. So what the one thing that is so cool is all of us around the world are getting to be like a family, and we gotten to know each other through various Skype groups and being on different learning programs, and we are learning from one another. And this technology has been put out open source so that people are experimenting with it really in the millions now around the world, I believe. And so we've got so much amazing learning that's coming forward. So tell me a little bit, how did you get started, Libby, how did this get activated for you? And
Oh, it got activated a long time ago. I came across Keshe, I think in 2009, Mr. Keshe's work.
wow.
And I played around it, but going down so many rabbit holes at the time, and all the disinformation coming in, coming out. You don't know. And then finally, when the CO2 kits became available, I was really interested, and I was able to convince a very good friend of mine to become a distributor.
Mm.
And so in March of last year, or late February of last year, I finally received my CO2 kit.
And I did the same
Yes,
thing.
I think that we were in the
I
same
think we did
Skype
about
room.
the same time. And
Yeah.
it was such a great science project. I mean, I think it came from China. Did yours come from China?
Yes, it did. It was,
And
yeah, I don't know if we say names anymore, but it was a cute little container. And right away, none of us knew what to do with it, or to ingest, not ingest, touch, not ingest. But
right.
my key was that the bugs liked it. Like, I had a moth land on my CO2 kit and go to it as if it was manna from heaven.
Oh, and that's what I love about you. You're so integrated with nature and the natural way of doing
Well,
things.
it's all about nature. This is what I took it and started really watching nature and seeing what was attracted, what was repelled. And before, I used to be a yoga teacher. I used to make yoga buddies or chakra buddies. And so playing with wire was something my hands loved to do. And so then as we started working towards reactors, that compelled me to go down different roads as well. Again, listening, I keep hearing that it's all inside of us. And this I know to be true, but we've forgotten. We've been programmed out of it. So Mr. Keshe and the knowledge seekers are kind of reawakening that within us by helping us make the invisible visible. And so my journey has been through cameras, mostly through taking pictures of my different experiments and their progress. And it's over a year now. But I didn't take too many last summer. I made characters. I had my first incredible experience. I had very bad jaw pain and a really bad toothache, and my jaw was swollen. And I just imagined I had a copper plate in one hand and a zinc plate in another hand. And I said, if what Mr. Keshe is saying about Cohen, copper, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen is right, then I should be in alignment with the nitrogen and the hydrogen, and all the pain should disappear. And it did.
Wow, that is an
And that
amazing
was in
thing.
July 21st. I have a witness. She saw me,
That is
and she was blown away.
So how long did you hold the two plates in your hand? Was
Oh,
it
seconds. It was just
seconds?
all my imagination. This is how important it is to remember our thoughts
Right.
and how they affect the outcome of everything we do.
Was your copper nano coated?
No, it was just, I'll imagine a copper plate and just imagine a copper plate. Now, I already knew what a copper plate and a zinc plate looked like in my
Right.
mind because
Oh,
people,
you just imagined they
I
were.
just imagined a copper plate and a zinc plate and it worked. And it was like, okay, cool. So now from there, I created all these little characters to go along with the copper, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, just because I feel like I'm a teacher of some kind.
Right.
I've always loved to share.
Can you tell us a little more? I listen to a lot of the Knowledge Seekers workshops. I don't get to them all, and every time I miss one, I'm just like hungry for what came through in that, because it is this continual learning process. And those can be found. We'll put a link under this video. They can also be found at keshefoundation.org, the pathway to getting to those. But
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, but um, I I know you watched and then you put things into practice. Can you tell us a little more about the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen?
Well, I think it must have been in June or July of last year workshop, Mr. Keshe did a beautiful demonstration of the planet and the sun and where nitrogen and oxygen and hydrogen and carbon were all united, and everything on this planet comes from that.
I think I missed that one. That
Oh,
sounds
it was
cool.
beautiful.
Yeah,
And so then that takes all fear away. If everything is made from these things, then surely we can transmute it or use it to our advantage
right.
because we are these powerful beings that we've
Yes.
forgotten, right?
Yeah,
So, and it's very easy to say, but it's with our programs, it's easy to forget too. So
right.
I kept making ways to teach myself and anybody who came to visit me and things that I could show that resonated to who I am. Trying to stay as close to Mr. Keshe's stuff, but I didn't like caustics. So I was like, people were burning themselves with caustics. I thought, well, I don't want to do that.
Well, and that's what kind of initiated this show, is us talking about that, about
Yeah.
how you have started nano coating things with other forms of nature than the caustic.
And do you want me to get that with pictures so we can add
Yeah,
that?
I think
Okay, so
let's go right ahead, because I know you've got beautiful pictures to share, and a
I
picture is
do.
worth 1,000 words.
Oh, they are. So I'll start with the reactors
Okay.
because that's where I went with it. I'm just going to
All
stop.
right. Yep,
Uh,
just go to screen sharing.
okay. So this was my first one. Wasn't my first one, but my latest. And what I want to do here. So this is a vector equilibrium. A vector equilibrium is something I've always been fascinated to make because they are like a Merkaba.
Mm,
Now, the thing I added into it, of course, was the double coil. But this is
right.
after a beautiful rain, and what I do is I start by dipping them in seawater
Mm.
or a combination of CO2 water with seawater.
Now, are you
And
close to the
I'm
ocean?
very close to the
Very
ocean.
close
The
to the
ocean
ocean.
is just a 5-minute walk from here.
Nice.
So there's a lot of um, salt in the rain. There's a
Right.
lot of other things that I've made peace with. Like every time I make these, I do ask them to help bring love and peace to the planet,
Nice.
well-being to all.
And where does vector equilibrium come from? I mean,
Well, I learned it, I think, from probably listening to Mark Rodin and Nassim Haramein in 2008.
nice.
They turned my crank when they just showed so much of what I know is true. I just resonate with. So this is what happens after not too many days, 7 days, I think. That's just being outside in the wind.
Wow. That is amazing. And
Let me just show that again. Just how
ah,
dark that goes,
that
right?
is
So,
amazing. And so let's just talk about what that is, because what you are doing, and we didn't really mention this,
oh,
is
sorry. Yeah.
for those who don't know, in the Keshe plasma technology process, we basically nano coat copper. And
Right.
and what that means is we are taking the molecule or the atoms that are all close together, and we expand them. John Anderson or John
I
Carl
know.
likes saying it's like turning the atom into popcorn. So how would you explain it, Libby?
Well, I called it my curing process, and I curing nano-coating. To me, it's the same, and what happens is over time, quite a long time. I did do a control just to see if I didn't add any accelerants, how long will it take, and I'll show you pictures of that later. But this is after 7 days, and then it continues and continues the longer you leave it out. But what's very wonderful is you can, or I don't know that everybody can, but I trust what I'm making so much that you can hold it in your hands, and the nano coating does not come off. You can drop it, and it doesn't chip. It's like it's in there,
That is beautiful.
and it just gets deeper and deeper over time.
And the reason for doing the nano coating is because
It becomes a superconductor.
it becomes a superconductor for the plasma energy that we're surrounded by in the field all the time, right?
Exactly. Exactly, sister. Now, this sat like this for a while, and I didn't really know what to do with it. And then I asked Mr. Keshe a very important question. If I create the conditions to make the GANs, would that be a good idea? And he told me, Grandma, you're going to be flying soon. So I knew I was on the right place. And so I created the conditions in my mind, and I used the wires I had at hand. I used to make some silver jewelry, and so I had some silver wire, and I also had some zinc wire or galvanized steel wire, and some very inexpensive silver plated wire, which I assumed, and I think I rightfully assumed, that they made on zinc, like they silver plated zinc. Not 100% sure. Again, this is the guesswork and the learning that each of us can do by playing with it.
Right.
So to each of the ends of these, and there's 24 of them, parts that, so these are 12-inch with 12 turns on each. So it takes 1 inch per turn to make
Nice.
24 of these.
Very nice.
And it creates like a star formation, like a Merkaba, a living Merkaba, and the
Right.
energies come from everywhere. So I added a zinc, a silver, a zinc and silver, zinc and silver all the way around. And you know what? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Days went by. And then I added this around it. And this is the part
Wow.
of playing. Just study your stuff. It will teach you. I guarantee you
Oh, that
people
is
play with it and it will
beautiful.
teach you. So I really heard the message to add, and this is on a galvanized wire. It's just a single coil, because every time I tried to make it, well, galvanized wire is really hard, but I was making the conditions to create CO2.
That is
And that's
amazing.
exactly what happened. It just, the things very quickly started to cover with CO2. I was like, yes, yes, yes. So that was that experiment, and that's what it looks like, or looked like. And then, the winter came along, and we've
Wow.
had the most weird weather, but the snow is wonderful for this. It adds another dimension. And I think of hot caustic, cold caustic, sun, cold, freezing rain, beautiful. The temperatures do wonderful work. Now, this is a little character I created because I made a couple to send to my grandson who absolutely loved them. Because I wanted to one of my reasons for really focusing on this is because I live without a legal name. Borders, everything stops me from traveling. And I really want to travel again. So I'm very much into remembering how we teleport, and which is one of the things I know we know how to do, but we've forgotten. So I've created these little guys, and they go out and they get nano-coated along with everything else. But look how the snow just clings to it. And when that goes away, do I have a picture?
And look how it is shaped around it too.
Yeah, I know. It's just look what's left. Beautiful copper oxide CO, lots of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just think
awesome.
yes, yes. So, and okay, so that's that one for now.
So
And
have you done anything else with that, like putting it
oh,
into water, or are you going to get to that, or
I am.
okay,
I'm going to go back to looking for the file without screen sharing it, so because I know there's some rules about not showing stuff on. Um, so then I'm going to come back to this one, which is my next one.
okay.
And we put that picture up and we come back to screen share. Sorry, sister.
That's okay. I'm no worries at all. We're very
Okay.
casual here.
Now, again, the water. The water of these things, it's a vector equilibrium, but one that is rounded. So I made it
Right.
the same way the other one was, but I decided, well, wait a second.
It's kind of more flattened.
Well, it's twisted. If you could call it twisted, it is.
Okay.
And
Well, what
there's
are the qualities of a vector equilibrium?
it, it's something that calls me, and I've learned through life to follow what calls you.
Right.
So,
Very good.
but this particular drop of water was like looking at source energy for me. I don't know if you can see it as well as I see it in front of my screen, but
Yes, it's beautiful.
see if I can just, it's,
Yes.
I was like, whoa. And it stayed like that and stayed like that and stayed like that.
Wow.
It was like, wow.
That is amazing.
And I'll come back to the water soon because it's very important. So this is over time. And if I can make the picture, no, I can't see I see I wrote the dates on this and how many days, but it doesn't
Right.
really matter. Just know it's a long process. More snow on this one. Now on this one, I added,
Yeah, I can see the date on the top of the bar. Like it says
oh,
March.
what's it say?
It says 1 March 21.
Okay, and then, well, if you go back to the first one, what's the date on that?
March 15th.
Yeah. So that's 6 days later. It's not
Wow,
bad.
that is not
Yeah,
bad. That's
it's not
amazing.
bad. And again, the snow leaves her beautiful energies in there,
Yep.
and you can see it all sparkling. Like it just takes an eye and a good camera. Gift
Right.
I gave myself a long time ago.
Nice. And so, again, when you started this, you dipped it in seawater and or GANS
Yep,
water.
CO2 GANS, and then
You dipped it in the GANS itself or in the
no,
GANS
GANS
water?
water.
GANS
GANS water.
water. Okay.
Now the beautiful thing about any container you put CO2 GANS water in, and maybe a little bit of GANS as well. That little bit of GANS is going to stay on that container forever and ever and ever
Right.
and ever. So know that when you do play around, and
As you've been fond of saying, it's like a homeopathic dose, right?
absolutely, I've always thought that the waters were magical and to stay with as much homeopathic dose as possible. I never had large quantities of anything. So some of this is the original CO2 I made first off. I was like, woo, because you can, as long as you never empty
Right.
the mother jar,
Yep.
she keeps on giving, and
Yeah.
don't let her dry up either.
That's what I have too
Yeah,
as well. Yep.
yeah.
I still have my original CO2 GANS jar.
It is the gift that keeps on giving. And
Hmm.
so this is just a
In a great
morning,
way.
morning and afternoon. This is the weather we've had. Isn't that amazing? And now I've put them all
Oh,
together for a while.
gorgeous.
And this one I had put on the bottom with an extra one of my original ones that I had made. And everything you make has value. Never throw anything away, I've discovered, because you'll come back to it later and go, oh, that would go well there. And this next one, the bone one, was my control. And there she is with a buddy hanging out. Now, you can see that I do live in paradise, and I am very, very grateful to live in paradise. So
You
for me, it's
do.
paradise, but also a lot of salt. That's a wetland,
Mm,
so that's a lot of salt water in the air.
nice.
So what I did is I took that thing that was hanging from the bottom and I put it up here because I was very impressed, and I remembered in one of the workshops that CUO had to be your middle.
What's the little white thing in the middle there?
A crystal, a white quartz pebble, the white quartz pebble from another project I'll show you from a test tube that actually ended up, I created a silica cell. I was amazed by that. So that when I changed that, because I didn't want to contain a silica cell in a test tube, I thought that was not a good thing. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll plant you here, but I'll keep the white quartz because to me, it came from the silica. The silica cell came from the white quartz. It was my own explanation. I don't know if that's true. And then I added a little space buddy on top with his own little transformer, I call it, hanging.
Beautiful.
And then now they're all in my living room. So there's this guy here, that one there, and that's it for these. I'm going to just come back,
Nice.
and I'm
Very
going to show
cool.
you more. Oh, it's so much fun to record these things because this is my test.
You know, when we talk about even the, we're bringing together now in order to go into this next wave of human evolution, the masculine and feminine energies, or male and female polarities. And, you know, so much science has kind of been run by the male mind for so long. And I love how many women are coming into this technology and are doing it in this flowing kind of way that you are. Instead of you saying, hey, there's these rules, you're saying, hey, let's go with the flow of my feeling, of my being. And
Absolutely, absolutely. So my being wanted to find out, well, what happens if I don't put any accelerant on? And then our sweet brother Dave talked about Triskelions so much, and I love making Triskelions. And then he'd mentioned something, and I don't think I kept pictures in this little presentation for it, but I decided, okay, I'm going to I'll make, and this vector equilibrium is slightly different than the other ones in that I used beads at the corners, which offers a different dimension slightly, more flexibility, but I didn't know if that was changing things or whatever. So this hung. Can you see the date on that?
yes, it is March 15th.
March 15th. Okay. So, and then it rained and we
Mm,
got beautiful. I think I skipped one. Yeah, this picture.
gorgeous.
Now I use this picture everywhere because to me, this exemplifies what a natural periodic table of elements does.
That
Now, I
is
don't know if that's true or
incredible.
not, but that's what resonated for me when I saw that. I just kept looking at it and looking at it and going, oh my goodness.
I love it. That is
And
absolutely spectacular.
it is. And it stayed like that for a long, long time. And then it got gradually colder, and started to freeze. But it still stayed there. I mean, that's the joy. It's like, wow, what's this?
That is really cool.
And then you see where they were. They left their imprint. Nano-coating. Look
Wow.
at that. It,
Yeah. And you
yeah.
know,
Yep.
the way that you're looking at this, I know what came out in the Keshe teaching yesterday, or maybe it was a thing earlier
Recently.
in the week. John Anderson was showing me some pictures of how they've frozen, they've put,
Yes.
they've
Yes.
they've
That was
let
on
ice
Tuesday.
freeze under a health pen, and the ice is freezing, showing the flow of energy coming off of the pen. And
Yeah,
again, what you're doing is noticing how the elements are responding to the flow of energy here. and
absolutely.
and it's really important because we're not used to looking at our world in this way. We're not taught this in our traditional school system or our traditional
Yeah,
scientific training. But when we start playing with the plasma energy and realizing that space is not empty, that there's this continual flow of life force, powerful energy that's flowing around us all the time. And then we begin making these devices to tap into it and to attract it. Then you begin seeing the results in these beautiful ways that you're looking at it and observing. And so thank you so much for documenting this. It's really cool. And
It's been a thrill for me.
when
It's
we
been,
come back, I actually have a Triskelion. When you say our friend Dave, you mean Dave of MIP Peru, Mission
I
Impossible
do,
Peru.
Dave Stewart.
And
I
this
love.
is actually a Triskelion he made and gave me when I was down there. So I love it.
He is such a beautiful, beautiful soul, that
Yes,
man. I'm so grateful for who he is. So,
yes,
and what he's done, and also just the magic of the spiral is helped me realize, although everybody else is plugging everything in and
right,
tying it all up, again, being a woman and thinking, wait a second, it's all out in the fields.
right.
What I've understood is that copper and spirals amplify the fields.
Nice.
So I'm asking them to just catch each other where they can. Now, I don't know whether it's a good way or a bad way. I'm
Right.
just
Well, and
being led by
yeah,
the fields, because they, as we've spoken, many of us, about when you start playing within the plasmatic fields, depending on how you're interacting with them, for me, they offer me nurturing and encouraging ideas. And
yes.
try this. Oh, well, what would happen if you did this? And it's like my oversoul is coming through me saying, try this, try that. And so that's what this was. Now I
And you know
changed.
what pops into my mind is that I think it's a Bible quote that says, "Lest ye become like little children, you shall not enter the kingdom." I think it is that entering into that childlike exploratory state where we're really listening to our intuition, we're catching the ideas that go past our vision and our feelings that are directing us as a
Absolutely.
living, breathing participant in this magical world that we live in.
Absolutely. And I feel like a little kid playing all
I
the
love
time.
it. And I was going to say, Sybil and Martin, who are in the Netherlands, who
I watched.
I did a show with them on the health pens that they're making, which are
Yeah.
beautiful, and they're expanding and they're using Triskelions in a lot of the things that they're doing as well.
Well, I love the Triskelion, so I've stuck with that and learned from it, and I use the spiral wherever I can
And if
now.
someone wants to know how to make a Triskelion, there are YouTube videos where you can look up, how to make a Triskelion.
And I always spell it wrong, so let's spell it right. It's Triskele. Triskele is one, and Eon is many, correct?
Oh, thank you. Beautiful. We'll put that under the video.
Okay, because I
I'm
know
getting
when I went
chills.
to
Thank
research, oh, you're so welcome. I learned through trial and error. So then from
Keep
there,
showing me these pictures. I think I'm going to come and visit you.
oh, you're so welcome. I would love it if you came to visit. So we had a snowfall. What's the date on that? April 10th.
Oh, yeah.
And it just covered all these babies really well. But again, like I say, there's something really good about it. I know to do it. I just, like, I
Right.
hear a snowstorm's coming, and if something's inside that hasn't been nano coated yet, ooh, snowstorm, time to get out there.
Beautiful.
And what I had done is that I had one left, one Triskelion. These are beads, bone beads. And I
Right.
wondered about taking the bones, but I thought, well, these are the beads. You have them, and they make really good not Triskelions, but vector equilibriums. And this one didn't have beads on the end, so I thought I'll use that one since I don't know whether the beads have a addition or not addition, but I took all the Triskelions from the white beads. And these were white, but were dyed with tea many, many moons ago. Um, and so I just took the Triskelions from that and added that. And I'm still working on, there is a little double coil in there as well, and it's made from there are different kinds and qualities of copper, so people need to be aware that some take a lot longer to nanocoat than others.
Right. And that's kind of a big deal. I think it has been for me,
Oh yeah, depends
finding
where you get it.
finding the copper. And how do you find it up there? Where are you getting?
I go to home supply stores, and I usually buy household wire and I strip it, and it's not easy, but that way almost guarantees you that you're not going to have any kind of plastic sheathing over or
Right.
over the copper.
Right. And how are you getting copper plates to make GANs?
No, we're almost at that part. So
Okay. I'll
uh,
wait. Let you
it's
reveal
okay. What
what
I
you're doing.
discovered just recently, I put these all together. This was yesterday. I added water into this kind of spiral-like container, but this is what I discovered. It wasn't full of water. My cat was sleeping underneath it most of the night yesterday, and then this morning I took the pictures.
That tells you
Look,
something, doesn't
look.
it?
Yeah, it does. Look
Look
what
at
happened
the
with the water.
water drops.
And I was like,
Oh
"Oh
my.
my goodness!"
That is
It's so here. This
incredible.
confirms for me that a spiral is the natural periodic table. Like everything falls in the right place where it's supposed to be.
Beautiful.
And I got such joy when I saw that this morning. I thought, "Oh my goodness, another confirmation." So the
Yes.
magic is in the water. We all come from water. We are all water. There's everything in our lymph system is water.
Right.
And now that we know we can start partaking it with this with no fear, it just opened so many doors. But I got to tell you, I was so excited to see this. Um, and then that's it for these. So now I'm going to just stop
Well,
share
I
and then
mean, do
tell
you
you.
see that as GANs?
I see that as yeah, it's GANS creates. I don't know if it's nitrogen, hydrogen, what element it is that they form, but it's like they form in the right place. This is just me saying it's a natural periodic table of elements. Nobody can back me and say, "Oh yes, that's true." Um, but I'm going to come show you some other pictures because where you said, do you use copper plates? And this is the thing. Oh no, I don't have copper plates. So all these, which one? Oh, I'm going to go first with this one because this blew me away.
There's my Triskelion from Dave.
Oh,
I love
let's
it.
see. I wasn't looking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look
It's
at
just
that.
fun to have and to know that a friend made it and it's carrying the energy of the work we're all doing here, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the spirit of water, right? The Triskelion represents the
Right.
spirit of water. So I figured, well, we're playing with water. So
Yeah.
here we go. So this was one of my first experiments. And all this is a copper pen, um, a copper coil, zinc galvanized wire, and a white quartz rock from the beach because I couldn't get quartz. This is but a white quartz rock, and this is already what's happening. Day one. See, that's CO2 GANs coming off that.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah. So day 21. This is where time is a very important thing. This little baby showed up, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, what is that?" And I did go on the plasma reactor group and asked Rick about it, and he thought it could be a silica cell. Made
Mm.
a lot of sense because now not only did I have zinc oxide, but I also had or CH2, but I also had CH3, the blood.
So is this, so let me ask you a few questions. Let's
Sure.
explain this for people who, you know, don't know all the details about this.
Yeah.
So did you put seawater in this container or salt
In
water?
no, in this container, I put CO2 GANS water
Oh, you
and a
did.
little bit of CO2, but
Okay,
but
and
no salt water.
can you zoom back out a little bit? I mean,
Sure.
why did you do that? What's your thinking?
Well, I'll go back here.
Yes,
I wanted to see what happens if I do this. I just wanted to see. This
right?
is, curiosity.
And so you basically just have some
This is
natural winding of the copper wire, right?
well, I followed the pain pen or the balancing
Okay,
pen principle,
okay.
and so I
And
made
was
one.
any of this nano coated or no?
Yeah, the one. See if I could see that.
The one
In
on the
here.
left looks like it's nano coated.
Is that your left? See, I'm seeing
My
this one on the
left. Or the one on the right is
right.
more copper colored.
Yeah, but inside of it, There is,
It may flip it on the, I think the video flips things too. So
oh, does it? Okay.
I don't know.
So where you can see the copper, inside of that, if you look closely, there is quite a stylus that
Right.
is nano-coated.
Okay.
Now, most likely this was nano-coated by nature. I did try nano-coating on the electric
Because it
stove.
does look nano coated, and the way that GANS is gathering on it
Yeah.
makes you
It
think,
was like,
oh,
whoa, I was so excited to see this. This is the exciting stuff where you don't need copper plates and zinc plates, you just need the materials of
right.
whatever you can find. So that went 21 days later into this,
And so you
and
put GANS water in. Why do you think it's turning the red color? I mean, what?
because the copper wire, uh, the zinc, the problem with using galvanized steel, galvanized means zinc coated.
Right,
But steel will turn into iron over time, depending
right.
on the conditions. And the conditions were ripe to make it turn into iron,
And
which
so what is zinc in there?
the galvanized wires started giving off zinc first,
Okay,
or CO2. I mean, this is
okay.
where we're not entirely sure because they look very close. My understanding is that zinc has more got a gray, cloudy feeling
Hmm.
to it, whereas CO2 is whiter.
Right.
That's my understanding. I may be wrong, but they're very close. And most of us, when we got our little CO2 kits, because they were made with a zinc plate, apparently we got more zinc oxide than we did CO2. I
Hmm.
don't, but I'm okay because both of them are really good for us. So
Right,
I figure they're both good for us. Let's just keep on going.
right,
And this showed up, and I was blown away. I was just like, wow. So again, you can see more of the nano coating in here of
right.
how dark this got.
Hmm.
And
So what did you do with it? Wow, look at
well,
that.
that was before shaking it. So this was before shaking it.
Uh-huh.
This is after shaking it. And look what happens. It's like there's a Coulomb barrier around the silica cell. They can't
Yeah,
go near it. And I was like,
that
wow.
is amazing.
But like I said, then after when Rick told me that I had created life, I thought, no, I'm not doing that. So I emptied it, saved the white quartz, and I'm continuing to make CH3 here. And that's just an ongoing little
And
machine.
CH3 is basically the iron GAN.
GANs, yeah.
And so what do you see from your learnings of the uses of this?
Well, I'm learning from JC that CH3 is for energy, and so now if I need some, like when we're making our new little batches where it's CO2 is primary and CuO and CH3 are secondary and third, or however we want it to be. Again, I don't know the dosages I'm doing.
Right,
I'm just being guided, and I can only say you have to go within your own soul to
right.
discover if you trust what you're doing. If you
And
don't
so,
do
yeah.
it.
And so,
So this is just kept for me as a supply for CH3.
okay. And so CH3 is from the iron and CuO is from the copper
Yeah, and now I'm going to
and
show you,
CO2 is from the zinc.
yeah,
Okay.
and I'm just, again, just trying to make sure my picture's falling the right way for you. Um,
So exciting, Libby. Thank you for taking the time to share this with all of us. We've been talking about this for a couple of months, and it's just so cool to have you,
I
you know,
am so grateful that you're giving me an opportunity to
yeah,
show what I'm doing because I'm having so much fun doing it, and I do this so that all the people, especially we women who don't want to use tools or we just want to find out what's going on. So this
right.
was an experiment I started not too long ago. I think it started April 10th. Is there a date showing up on there?
Yes, April 3rd, I think.
Oh,
April
April. Oh,
3rd.
yeah, because I'm on my CUO here.
Uh-huh.
So April 3rd, I thought, okay, this CUO, it seems so hard for people to make. Let me see what I can do. So I took the CUO and I put silver. This is silver wire. I also wanted to make silver GANs, and I wanted to make zinc.
Right, because Dave
GAN.
had been making silver GANs and
Yeah.
kind of got us inspired.
So this is day one, and already stuff is starting to come off, just little bits. little bits. You may see dates on the top there.
And so is this CO2 water in here, or is this,
This, what you're seeing here, is silver GANS water.
but I
Look at that.
mean, is it seawater
Oh,
initially?
yes, mixed with seawater. I just
Okay.
added seawater to see what that would do.
Wow, look
Look at
at that.
this, and this is still going. It's like beautiful.
That is incredible.
And this is very inexpensive silver wire plate. And I went under the assumption that it would be zinc. And I think I was right
Hmm.
because it's sure looking more like that.
Yeah,
And then now look at this. Is there a day on there?
yeah, April 5th.
I wish I could move that. Do I have to? Uh,
That's all right. I don't mind looking at it.
okay. May what?
April 5th.
April 5th. And I started April 3rd. So in 2 days. This is just 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that
And
amazing?
so you have a nano-coated stylus in there.
A nano-coated stylus. Up top is I believe this is one of my Nano Nature one. This is
Uh-huh.
the only hard thing for me is to distinguish between what I used when I burned it on the electric stove.
Okay.
You don't burn it, that's the wrong way. Nano coated on the electric stove, but Nature for me is easier.
So
And
that's brilliant. So you nano-coated with your electric stove. What a,
yeah, now to do that, you have to really look at it and don't bring your heat up higher than 4 or 5 and keep moving
uh-huh.
it around.
Mm-hmm.
Use 2 or 3. I like to make 3 and make little triangles along the burners.
Wow.
And make sure you're using tongs.
Mm-hmm.
um, but Nature is faster, I think. Not faster, not
Beautiful.
at all faster. So this is showing April 9th.
Uh-huh.
I've started another one because I was so excited by this. I thought, okay, I'll start another one. So this is one I made in January,
Mm,
and it's CuO. You can see it's just copper on copper.
right.
And then this is copper on silver, or
Mm-hmm.
silver on copper,
Silver on
which
copper.
may be a very significant difference because
Right.
I'll show you another project that wasn't that. And let's just see if I can move this over. No. Okay. Can you see the difference in color? And
Yes.
this is more a green, and whereas this is a blue.
Yep.
But they're both
Beautiful.
exquisitely attractive colors.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started doing yet another one, April 10th. This is a new, and now the silver is wrapped inside the coil on that one.
Oh, interesting.
And something else started to happen, and this is the silver on the outside.
Mm,
Now, first I got beautiful looking GANs in there,
right.
CO2 GANs and more. Oh, I could distract us here, and I don't want to. This is what Himalayan salt does. It likes to travel. So if people have a
Wow.
Himalayan salt lamp, or this was a gift to me sent to me by a friend, and it's got a USB thing. I never used it, but I left it on a desk beside an ashtray. This is a black ashtray, a blues ashtray my son picked up many moons ago, and somehow the two just started talking. And this brought me another concept about salt creep. I haven't documented much of that, so I won't go into it, except don't throw anything you make away, everybody. Just keep it somewhere.
Mm,
So I think that's where I started that. So let me just take that one down. Then, oops, oh, I probably didn't want to do that, did I? Stop share. Where am I?
it's
Oops.
okay. No worries.
Okay. Um, oh yeah, there's the stop share. Okay. Now I just go back here,
This is
and
great, Libby.
I'm not. Am I going too slow, too fast,
No,
too?
no, it's perfect. It's really
Okay.
fun. It's awesome.
And then I'll go back to Alchemy 101. So I did these April 10th. This shows you what happens. Okay. Come on now. No, no, no. Yeah. Eh. Okay. Screen share. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, thank you for your willingness to. document all this in such a great way. It's really perfect.
Well, this was so fascinating to me because I never thought this would happen, but this helps us explain or understand, or me understand more, what variations in nano coating can do. This piece of wire came from my internet cable wire, and they had cut it off, and they left quite a big section, and I decided to go investigate it and take the skin off, or the
Right.
insulation off, and I found some burnt pieces, and I thought, burnt?
Mm.
Electricity? Lightning? It's nano coated. Okay, I'll use it. A freebie.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a freebie, it turns out, so you'll see why. So I wrapped some galvanized wire within it, and right away, oops,
And
right
so the
away.
galvanized wire, you're going kind of after the zinc and
Yep, and right away, look what happened. Woohoo! Beautiful stuff started happening.
right.
I also did another one with just copper on copper, and here I did a galvanized wire on the inside as well, just to see
Great
what happened. Because
experiments.
I'm curious to see what happens.
Right.
Nothing really happened on these two right away, but this one was just starting to bubble. And now they are starting to produce. And this is days or even hours later. I
Wow.
might show on the top there.
And you are where are you getting these cool little containers?
Well, there you see, because I used to do beading all the time. I've got
Oh,
these are old bead containers that I
sweet.
pour boiling water in. What's the other thing I use? Vinegar, to try and get all the sticky stuff and anything else off. And then again, some more boiling water. And then I use them as my test tubes.
Nice. And are they plastic?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just this is so great. Your curiosity. And it looks like on the two left-hand ones, you've got some really nice bubbles formed there as well.
Well, that's what starts to happen. And look at here.
That is amazing.
See, now there's that beautiful thing. I don't know if it's nitrogen, hydrogen, what it is,
That
but
pattern.
it's beautiful, and it just starts to show itself. And to me, it's like
Mm,
making the visible invisible.
yes.
Oh,
The
here,
invisible visible.
yeah,
Beautiful.
and here they're lined up. I think I did it better after on the next one, but already you can see there's a problem starting here. Oh, not quite, but you can see there's some yellow.
Right.
The what I call the Eastlink, or the internet provider, the lightning struck white wire started to become iron
Mm,
and started to change the quality of what I was looking for.
mm,
Whereas this one started to give me some right away, and this one also started to produce. And I think the inside turn here is made from the same kind of wire that I
right.
assumed was properly nano-coated, and it is, but not the way I want it to be.
Right.
So then this is what happened in the end. Or not in the end, because there is no end to this
Mm,
stuff.
right.
This kind of got, what I would say, ruined. I got lots of CH3, some beautiful UO, and a question mark. Now, in my
And so let's
frustration,
just say, as you're saying those names,
oh yes,
the
copper oxide,
CH3, yeah, CuO is the copper oxide that's the
yeah,
blue color,
and this is iron oxide,
which is
and
the CH3,
three,
right? Okay.
yeah, and this is silver GANS. Oh, I love
Beautiful.
it. It's so
Beautiful, beautiful.
beautiful.
Any thoughts on what the silver GANs? I mean, you
I've been
know,
using it on my nose. I've been
nice.
taking it because I have this issue with my nose, and I don't have access to colloidal silver. I thought, well, again, nature's making it attractive to you. You're a
Right.
willing guinea pig.
And so
Jump.
you have a spot on your nose where skin has needed healing, correct?
Yeah, I have a lesion that came 8 years ago through the gentle, well, not so gentle scratching of a cat who was trying to get under the sheets. Only my nose was there. And
Wow.
over the years, it has done all kinds of things. And I don't use, this is one thing that makes me sad, but it is my reality. Keshe always says, if you want to be part of the experiments, you have to have a doctor. Well, I don't use I
Right.
don't use allopathic medicine. I don't
Right.
have a doctor, and I don't want one.
Right.
And I don't use pharmaceuticals. So I've only tried many, many other remedies, probably never consistently enough. There's been good days, bad days. it's been a good experience for me to have this because it's led me to explore, well, what happens if I do this and be a willing guinea pig. I am a certain age, and my son is grown up and he's got beautiful kids and he's doing a great job. Um, Anyways, coming back to this, I didn't like what was happening here, so I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to throw in some silver.
Hmm.
And this is what I've been doing with little experience. Well, what happens when I do this? So, and I believe it's cleaning it up. And this is what's going on in here. I could spend lots of time or not.
Right.
Um, how are we doing on time?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I get so excited, but this is just a really good lesson. Says be careful of what you use as nano coating, um, what you use as accelerant or not.
the
Um,
idea would be nano-coated copper along with either plain copper or plain zinc or plain iron.
yeah,
Those are kind of the traditional, and then we're going to silver as well.
yeah.
And
And then I'm going to take us to one other area with my test tubing stuff, only because it's quite interesting what happens when you do add CuO. And that's my CH3 and brass.
and most of those tubes that we were just looking at did start out with seawater and the
Almost all of them. The only
okay,
one was the silica cell, where that was straight CO2 GANS and CO2 GANS water.
okay, interesting.
Yeah. So
Wow.
here, yeah, let's see. I don't have screen share on, do
That
I?
is really, I think, amazing that what happened with the crystal and the sea. You
I was blown away,
know.
absolutely blown away. Now here's another experiment that I believe the design of the pen has a major influence here. Very early last fall, maybe, Renan was playing around with various health pens, and he came across, I picked up the idea from him. I'm pretty sure it's from him, to make a double coil on the top as well as around.
Interesting. I had made a ball like that, and I think I posted a picture of it in the early days when I was just experimenting with everything. And
Yeah.
one of my friends wrote me, and she went, "Save me that. That's what I want." And
It's very powerful, and I'm going to now experiment with that more as I look at these
so,
pictures.
how did you make that double ball?
Um,
Who
um,
knows?
who knows? I use a lot of different things to help me make coils. Knitting needles, pencils, pens, long.
Knitting needles. That's a great
Oh
idea for
yeah,
a mandrel.
yeah,
Brilliant. Oh, I
yeah.
love it. I wish I still had my knitting needles. I used to knit. I knitted for years, and then finally I gave all my stuff away because I just was doing too much on the computer, so I didn't have time to sit and knit anymore. But
Well, in my situation, I live with no money, so I have to use what I find in my house or depend
beautiful.
on when I get a donation.
I'm
So,
going to be going to the thrift store and looking for knitting needles. Rock
absolutely, that's a
on.
good place.
What a great idea. Even crochet.
Oh yeah,
Or
crochet, the larger crochet hooks or the smaller ones, like
yeah,
depending on what you want to work on.
right.
Again, if you're doing large, like if you're trying to do 109 turns or 108 turns, you're gonna run out of room. But you can just take it apart. And the other thing I say to people, when you're playing and straightening out your copper, tell it, feel it, your love going through it, and you can just feel it becoming alive in your.
Right. Right.
This is what people who are doing machine-wise are missing, or maybe not missing, it's another experience, it's that experience, but when you play with this, these are elements.
Mm-hmm.
They feel you. They reflect you. If you're in a hateful mood, you're gonna get knots, and you can't go there with the stuff. You have to be in a loving, "Thank you, help me decide how to do this, what shall I do? Should I do an extra turn?" And let it guide you because it is magical. So there's silver wire here that's just putting out this beautiful white substance.
That
I
is
think it
gorgeous.
might, I don't know what it is, but it's beautiful and I love it.
Wouldn't you call it GANs of some sort?
Oh yeah, I think it's CO2 GANS.
Right.
Now here is a piece of zinc. Now you see what I'm not sure of if this is actually silver wire or zinc wire, and I don't know that I wrote a label on it when I
Mm-hmm.
created it. But I decided this is the thing from a clothespin, this part.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
call it,
you've got some iron in there too.
no kidding, and it became iron really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'm getting enough CH3. I'm good with the CH3. That's not what I wanted. So I thought, okay, how long am I going to leave that in there? So I left it in there for a little while. See how much stuff was accumulated in the bottom of this jar. Can you see how many days it's been or what the date on that is?
March 30th.
And I
It
don't
says
think it.
March 30th, 10 minutes. March
Oh,
31st, 24 hours.
oh wow. So it just started going nuts. Then
Right.
I took it off. I said, okay, I don't want any more CH3. I want to continue to get whatever this white stuff is. And at first I thought, okay, it's not going to do anything. But lo and behold,
There it goes.
it started to produce again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited. And I do think this, the way it's, the jar maybe, whatever, there are so many variables at play. This is a glass jar as opposed
Right.
to plastic. Is there a date showing on there? Um, and it's still continuing. So this is a
Mm-hmm.
prize. I love this jar.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And then
Thrift
there's that
stores
one.
are great places to pick up that kind of thing.
Yeah, and also for me, I live on honey, so I always get it in jars. Because I
Nice.
figure honey is such a good cleaner that whatever's in that jar is already clean. This is an experiment. I just wanted to see what happened. I started making those little space buddies, and I was using buddies, but I was still learning how to make them here. So this one was kind of like
So
a tragedy.
when you call it a space buddy, I mean, would you call that a capacitor in the
No,
lamp?
when I say a space buddy, those little characters I make,
Right?
that this would be called, I think we call them an egg reactor or
Okay.
a cone reactor. JC showed me how to make them, and I love using them because
Mm-hmm.
you can open them up. You can put a crystal in them, or you can put. I was even putting wool, GANS infused wool,
Right?
as to see if that would perpetuate anything, and it does. But this was an experiment to see what happens when you mix brass. Um, I don't know if it's lead wire, but it's very attracted to magnetic energy. It's like a very plain wire.
Mm.
And then I threw this thing in there, the thing I didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
I threw it in there. I said, okay, do your magic, see what happens. Well, very quickly, it became dirty, dirty, dirty. It became like, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, ooh, that kind of looks like the bottom of the harbor, right?
Right.
And so I didn't like the way it was looking. It was like, ooh, this is really not nice. So I started adding little bits of CuO water.
Mm.
Because CuO, or copper oxide, is supposed to clean the water.
Wow.
And so I thought, well, what happens? So it's still not that clear.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, see how clear this water is compared to that water?
Right.
Yeah. So now this is, I think, today. What's the date on there?
It is April 15th. Yep.
Yeah. So that water is much cleaner than it was, and that's just by putting some CuO water in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about being able to clean up our rivers and our
I
water
know.
and,
I was,
you
and this
know,
is where playing with this stuff. I mean, you can really see in there now,
right.
right? I'm just going to mute because I'm about to cough. If I can find my mute button. No.
Lower left corner. You should be
Yeah,
able to
except I don't.
scroll it.
It's okay. I
Um,
won't cough. Mm,
and I've got a question for
okay.
you when you, after you get through
Okay.
this
I'll just
series.
stop. Yeah. Okay. That's it. But just to show, I used white paper too, just to see if that made any difference between that and the black paper. And that's what I tell people: experiment. You know, see black, white. You know. Okay. I'll do the stop share.
So, have you done anything with? I know there was a big experiment to. Um, there's the cup of life, which is a whole nother subject than these experiments. Right now, we're talking about your natural experiments with nano-coating and GANS making, and they're beautiful. And so let's tie that together as one body of information.
Okay. Um,
And
The cup of life, I never really went too far with it.
so I wondered if you've done anything with your GANS making,
Yes, I've drank much of it.
but I mean,
Oh,
have you done anything with nano coating, adding additional elements such as, you know, food substances like they're doing with the cup of life, or any of that kind of thing?
no, no, I haven't done that. I started to go back to the original imagine a copper plate in one hand and a zinc plate in another hand, because I really don't want to be dependent on anything,
Right,
food or anything.
right,
And so this to me is just a confirmation
right,
that we are on the right track, that everything that we need already exists in us. And if we are unbalanced, like I know my nose, my teeth, my habits of 60 some years have run their tracks on my body. And so I'm now drinking it in very minute, just the water of the water. I always believed in the homeopathic principles.
right.
I did create CO2 pain pads that are wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
They cured me of a sciatic problem I had for years from being thrown from a horse when I was 19.
Nice.
And it's not there anymore. It totally like feels good.
And were your pain pads CO2?
Just
Yep.
CO2.
Okay.
And
So you use the CO2 water
just
on
the
a
CO2 on
paper
a piece of paper
towel
towel on in a
in a
plastic
plastic.
bag.
Perfect.
And I've helped quite a few people with them.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been people that have just put them away in a drawer and they get moldy. And I don't know if it's because they don't believe in them or these things pick up your,
Right. When you talk about like the Emoto rice experiment, where people put rice in a jar for 3 weeks or whatever, and to one jar they're saying, I love you, and the other jar they're saying, you fool, or whatever, something negative. And
yeah,
that one turns black in 3 weeks, and the other one is still pure white. So we know that our energetics with these things are playing a role. Our attitudes.
our thoughts are so, so important. Our
Mhm.
attitudes, our words, how we treat what we're working with. Um, do we respect it or do we doubt it? Like, doubt is not a really good thing to bring into this because
Mhm.
it will just amplify that. These are
Mhm.
amplifiers of our,
Amplifiers. I think that's a really good word. Yeah.
and so if you know you're good, like you know who you really are,
Right.
this is the journey of self-discovery to its nth degree.
Mhm.
If you haven't gone that down that journey and you think it's everybody else's fault that you are whatever you are, this is a shocking journey because you may not get results or you'll get the results but you can't believe that.
And you're going to amplify whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling,
Yeah.
because we are resonators of frequency, and these are gathered, um, more concentrated, uh, visual manifestations of how that energy is flowing in our world. And so let's pull it in so we can look at it and play
Yeah,
with it and experiment with it.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Concentrate it.
I used to tell people when they showed me massive amounts of CO2, I'd say it's like you're holding the sun in your hands, and we only need a ray.
Right,
We don't need the whole sun.
right.
And so it is a journey of self-discovery. And now that we know almost all our sciences are out the window, our physics, our chemistry, our everything, why someone like me who was never educated down that road, it's easier because I don't
Right,
have the roadblocks that others might do.
right.
And I have the curiosity of a child
Yeah.
or of an elder who has reached the point in her life that she is just wanting to see change so much in humanity. And if it means I take the purple pill, I'll take the purple pill,
Right.
just to discover what does that do. Um,
And here you are living like Anastasia out in the beautiful
I feel
Northwood.
so blessed. I've
Yeah.
lost everything and yet I'm still where I was.
And
So
being
it's
in that kind of a magical place also really stimulates our connection with source, with, you know, you've taken away a lot of the distractions that are around the modern world, and you're living, you know, where nature can speak to you. So
I
beautiful.
have, and I thank you so much for letting me show my pics, because it is my way of telling everybody, you can do this. Don't
Yes.
let, especially to the females out there, not that, I mean, I'm sure there's many, I'm sorry, I don't even mean to sound in any way that way. But for those of us who have felt incapable of doing technical, chemical, or anything like this is magnetic electric energy,
It
magnetic
is.
gravitational
It's
energy.
beautiful, and it's got an artistry to it. And I know a bunch of young people who are going to love this video, who
Oh,
are
good.
kind of around the world that I'm in right now. And I see them; they already get some of this stuff because they're not as programmed in the old system. So part of them goes, "Wow, I get it," you know. And I can just see them taking this stuff and making it and hanging it out on their clotheslines, and you know, starting to create some of these things. So
And something I want to mention that people I may not have stressed, and I don't know if it makes a difference, but all my test tubes are closed.
oh good, that's good to know.
So that whatever's happening is happening in there,
Nice.
and it's when you let the water evaporate that the salt creep happens. So for people who are playing with this, just make sure you
Oh,
have a lid on it and the water won't evaporate. It may, but not nearly as quickly without a lid on.
and what's really interesting is, you know, the way you and I learned how to make GANs initially.
The lid was open.
The not only was the lid open, but we had a wire that went
That's
between
right.
the two plates,
Yep.
and the lid could be sort of closed. There was a lid at least,
There was, but it had holes in it,
but
so
you're kind of bypassing that having two plates, and you're just making something that looks like a health pen and putting it in the seawater or the salt water, and you're getting
I'm creating the conditions for it to appear.
right.
And that's why I say by doing nano coating outside, those conditions appear automatically. I didn't put CuO on any of that stuff, and lots of CuO presented itself, or
Right.
copper oxide.
Right.
And, you know, like I said, when I added that external wire, it wasn't a double coil, it was just a coil of copper wire with galvanized wire through it, and then a spiral from that. And for those of us who aren't plugging things in, I would encourage you to use the spirals to your advantage. I mean, nature teaches us, and that little periodic table of elements of water drops is my avatar from now on.
That's beautiful. I
Yeah.
love it. So, and people will get, if they will delve deeper into the Keshe teachings, the teaching sessions, the videos that I'm making with various
Oh,
people, they'll,
absolutely.
they'll learn more about what is the value and the purpose of GANs and why would you make it. And so let me just ask one more time, most of the things that you hung outside to nano coat, you did coat with seawater and or CO2 GANS water, or
Dipped.
some
Just dipped.
just
I
dipped.
dipped it. I dipped it. The first ones my YouTubes were made with, I used a bit of wood ash water. And
Okay,
from what I understand, wood ash water is also very, very good.
right.
Um, um, and the seawater, well, I live right by the ocean, and I've been putting crystals into where I've collected the water. For years, I've been putting crystals and loving that part.
Oh, good.
It's part of the land that I live on. And
Nice.
so I know she wants me to, you know, I feel
So
safe
you're
with
just
this
going
water.
into, it's like a salt marsh, you said. So it's
Well,
not,
there's a river, there's a tidal river.
okay,
It's
right.
called Eel River.
Oh,
And I just go into that and take a big water jug of it. And
and so
I,
it's not even going directly into the ocean, but you're getting this,
yeah, but it's, oh no, the ocean comes in and out
so it
every
is
tide.
tidal.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, it's tidal. It
Okay.
definitely comes in and out.
But that's even mixed with the elements of the earth, probably, because
And
it's
my love, my total love. I
right,
mean, I've been here for 20 years. I feel like I've been living here in another lifetime. We know we don't want to go there, but
right.
there's some reason I'm still here, because for all intents and purposes, I shouldn't still be here, but I am. So I
Well,
figured,
you're a
okay.
great hub of light, my dear, and
Oh, sister, I
I'm
thank you so much for
you as
letting me
well.
have this show
Yeah.
with you.
Mhm.
Sweet.
So many blessings, and so many blessings to all of our listeners out here, everyone who's learning and growing in this time of great change on planet Earth. We invite you to join us on this journey. I want to thank Naturally Better TV for airing these shows, and follow us at 21stcenturysuperhuman.com. Libby, we will put some contact info for you below the video so that if people would like to get a hold of you, I know you have a YouTube channel where you're sharing some of these things, and so people can keep learning and growing. We can keep, this is one of the things I think that helps all of us thrive in these times. We know we're in times of evolutionary change. We know that we're in times of great change on the planet, economic systems, governmental systems, and us knowing each other, us connecting with one another, us sharing our learning through this wonderful tool called the internet. I'm so grateful that we have it. I'm so grateful you out in the North Woods can connect with us this way. It's really awesome.
Thank you. And thank you for what you do, Carrie. I really appreciate all your shows.
You are
Thank you.
so welcome. Okay, much love to all. Many blessings. See you soon.